right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. You guys should be seeing a PowerPoint presentation on my screen right now, so I'll just kind of do an introduction to the presentation that we're going to do today and kind of give you some logistics on format. We're going to jump in and do some demos. I do have a PowerPoint deck, and I'll be sure to get that on my blog later today. But we're going to go out there and show you some of the new things in 2013. This is definitely the 30,000-foot view. So throughout the rest of the week, the SharePoint 911 team, or the Rackspace team more appropriately now, is going to be doing a series of 30-minute broadcasts that cover all sorts of topics. So this is the first one, and this is really for those that maybe haven't seen SharePoint 2013 yet, or are wondering, what does it look like, or what are some of the new basic things that are involved, and some of the high-level features and attributes. So we're going to take about 20 minutes, and we're going to talk through some of those different pieces, and then in the last 10 minutes, we're going to be answering any questions that you have. So I probably won't stop too much during the presentation to answer questions, but as you have questions, go ahead and type them into the chat room, and then we'll be sure to follow up with them at the end of the presentation. So we're going to just dive in right now, and the first thing that we are going to look at, we've got my blog. So there is a link to my blog and my Twitter address. So if you have any questions, any feedback about the presentation, feel free to find me on my blog or on Twitter. I am a SharePoint Server MVP. I live in San Antonio, Texas. I work at the Rackspace headquarters down here in San Antonio. So pretty easy to find either on my blog or Twitter. So okay. We've got a couple of books out there right now for SharePoint 2010 content, and we are actually in the process of revising all of them for SharePoint 2013. So all of the books that we've written for 2010, they're going to be revised, and they should be available at the end of this year or early next year, depending on when SharePoint goes RTM. Okay. So a couple of things that we're going to look at. We're going to look at the new SharePoint UI, so just a new team site, what does it look like, how do I click around, what do I find? We're going to look at working with content, so I can upload content, how to do some Office integration, I can do some searching pieces. Then we're going to just look at some of the common site administration actions. So creating new apps, managing permissions, customizing the site design, managing navigation, some different elements like that. Okay. So we're going to first jump in and look at the new UI. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to pull up my demo site. So we just want to walk through a couple of things. The first thing is that Microsoft, in its infinite wisdom, has decided that the Site Actions menu should once again move to the other side of the screen. So if you got used to it in 2007 on the right, and then you struggled with it going to the left in 2010, you're going to get back to struggling with 2013 as it goes back to the right. Come over here, and you see that I have this gear over here. This is my actual Site Actions menu. So I come down here, and I'm going to see all of the pieces that I have here. So I can get into site settings, I can edit my page, do a lot of things that I used to be able to do in the Site Actions menu. So I can come over here, I can get to those same features. I've got some extra features that are here now, so I can see who it's shared with. I also have shortcuts. So they tried to make things more natural for me as someone who's an administrator. Right on the page, I can see an edit link. So I don't have to go to Site Actions and say edit the page. I've now got this link available for me, and it's going to take me right into that mode that I want to be. So they tried very hard to make the actions on the site more manageable for people so that they could go in and they could quickly and easily do changes to their content and then save things in a very natural type format. So we've got some of those things there now that can quickly save and close. Also, this is one that people love. I have this little box here with squares around it that allows me to focus on the content. So I can click on that, and it's going to hide the quick launch for me. So as I click on that, it's going to get rid of all those extra things. So depending, I might be in an environment where I have a smaller screen, or I need more real estate, and I want to focus more on the content, and I don't need navigation. I can quickly and easily click this button to go between the two. So this is a great feature that really makes it easier for users to focus on their content. Okay, so we have that there. We've also got a sync button, and this is going to allow me to sync to a location using SkyDrive Pro. This is an interesting one. I have managed to break this on a couple of different machines, so we're not going to spend too much time showing this one because As early as this morning, I've managed to break it again. So we're going to blame it on beta bugs, but basically when I click this, it's going to ask me what library do I want to sync and where do I want it to go. And this is using the set of features available in SkyDrive Pro. So SkyDrive is the next evolution of SharePoint Workspace, which is the evolution of Groove. So I'm still working through kind of what all of those details mean, but that's what's available right now in the preview. And hopefully once I get it working completely, I'll be able to put some blog posts out there with it, or possibly even do another webcast. You have some of the follow features. This is going to be key in some of the user profile pieces, and Laura is going to be doing her presentation on the social experience, so more of the social features, and so she's going to get into great detail on what all of those buttons mean. But this is kind of a quick toolbar that I can use to kind of navigate through the different content. And this is going to be security trim, so you also see that I have a link here to share. This is where I could give people access to the site. Well, if I don't have the ability to give people access to the site, I'm not going to necessarily see that there. So based on my permissions, I can see what I can do. If I can't edit the site, I'm not going to see that on the quick launch. Okay, so we've got some of those features there. Some of the other things I want to show are the edit links. So I've got my quick launch over here, and I can quickly and easily add new content to there. When I click on these guys, they're going to open up and let me do different things here, and I can add links, I can remove items, and so they're trying to again make things more natural for me. Okay, I've also got a document library here, and one of the best features inside of SharePoint here, let me pull over my window here of my test docs, is the ability to drag and drop. So this is a feature that we have long waited for, but I can click on a bunch of items and I just have to drag them into the library, and when I come over here, it's going to let me know that some of them exist, and that's fine, I can replace it. And then it's going to upload the remaining documents for me. So I was able to drag and drop content into a SharePoint library. So this is a huge improvement over working in the past, because it's a natural action that people want to take, but they're now able to easily do from inside of SharePoint. So we get to drag and drop the content, which is a great feature. You'll also notice that the modified date shows up in a very friendly term. So we see that it says a few seconds ago, about an hour ago. Well, this is one of the new features that they have with dates. So a good place to show this is inside of the task list. And you'll notice that my due dates have what we're calling a friendly view. So I see here I've got a due date of Friday, one of September 6th, and then I've got one of February 22nd, 2013. So I'm able to see that based on the relevance of when the date is, it's going to let me know. So if something was due yesterday, if it's due tomorrow, different things like that, it's going to show me in a friendly view. And this is something that is configurable in the list settings in the column. So I can come down here to my due date, and when I'm going to see one of these features that I can set on the list is, do I want to show things in a standard format or a friendly format? So this is another one of those ways that they're trying to really make things natural for the user. So this is a great way for people to kind of to see how they can just naturally work with content. And I can quickly and easily change that should I have a need to show it differently. Okay. So we have a task list here. One of the other things that I want to show you guys is that we have this new concept of what is called the timeline. And when I click on the timeline, you'll see that I've got different tasks that are here. And I can click on the different tasks, and I can see it's a 10-day duration. It's due September 6th. And I have a link directly to the task. I can remove it from the timeline, or I can even open the task. I could come down here to, let's see, other tasks that we have here. And if I click on the ellipse, this is replacing the item drop-down menu. So in 2010, where we had the item drop-down, and you could go to each item and you could do different things with that menu, you can now still do those different things. You just get to them in a different format. So when I click on the ellipse initially, it's going to give me the summary information, and it's going to show me the most common tasks that I want to do with whatever this item is. I can then use the other ellipse to get to the rest of the items. So you'll notice in different lists and libraries, this is just a new way of kind of working with the content. I just can open it and then I can drill down to the items that I want. In this case, I can add something to the timeline. And now notice that my timeline naturally has spread itself out so that I can see from today all the way into 2013. I can come over here. I can do things, remove from the timeline. It's going to automatically update for me. And this timeline is something that we can customize a little bit. So we have these different features up here. I can also say what format I want my dates in. There's a lot of different things I can do if I had time formats, different things like that. I can also come to certain tasks and I can display them as a call out. So this is something that is part of the task list. So it's one of the new features that they have available of just how I can work with data. So what you can really see is that there is a way for people to really naturally start working with the content. So we have some of those things there. I'm going to go back into a documents list now, and I'm going to show you the drop down for those as well. So you see I've got this open menu, and I can click on it. I can see when was it last changed. Is it shared with anyone? If this document had unique permissions, we would be able to see right here who had access to that document. I can edit the document if I want to, and it is going to open it inside of either Office Web Apps or Excel in this case. Now, something I will note is on this machine that I'm running, I do not have Office Web Apps installed, and I don't have some of the workflow components installed. So just kind of as a word of warning, there's a lot of environment variables that you really need to have configured and running well and working well in order for your environment to really take off and really shine. And so one of the webcasts that Todd is doing is talking about how to build a SharePoint 2013 testing environment. And if you kind of go to that webcast, you're going to hear more information about all of the specifics that you need. But just kind of a fair warning, there are some of those things that just aren't configured to run in my particular test box that I'm doing demos with. So I could edit the document. I could also share it. I could follow it. And Laura's going to get into some of those following features and what it means when I follow documents, and then they show up on my site later. You can also come down here, and now you'll see I've got all of the other things that I had before in 2010 in that drop-down. And so instead of having everything in a single drop-down that's going to, potentially get confusing for users, they're trying to filter up the most relevant information for the things that you're trying to do. There's some of those features there. We have also got some new search features. So I'm going to go ahead and click on do a search on the term test here. And you're going to see that I can filter the results live. So as I'm going over here, I can filter a date. So they've kind of got this great little slide bar that I can go with. It's going to let me filter when things were changed. I can also come over here and do searches on authors. So combining all of these together, I'm going to get that dynamic experience of pulling together my content. And then I can also get alert me on that. I can set up my own personal search preferences. So if I come over here and click on search preferences, it's going to let me determine how search is working for me. So this is great. It's going to allow me to have a history of my own so that I know what I'm searching. I can say if I want things to open in the client or in the browser, and do I want them to show suggestions and things like that based on my personal search history. So I can save my preferences, and then these are going to be associated with me. So that's another great feature of a way that people can interact very simply with SharePoint. Again, just like in the other document libraries, as I hover over items, I get this box that's letting me know the most important information about the document. So in this case, I can follow it again. I can open it. I can view the library. So if I wanted to see more information about where this came from, I could simply from here click on View the Library, and it would take me back to that location. So a lot of really great things available inside of search there. Okay, so now we're going to jump into just some of the admin features of some of the different things we're doing. If I go back to the PowerPoint, and like I said, we're going to have this available for you guys on my blog just to kind of give you some feedback or some different things that you can reference after the webcast. But now we're going to talk about some of the admin features. And the first one that we want to talk about is the concept of creating a new app. And inside of SharePoint, everything is now an app. So a list or a library is simply a type of app that we can add to the site. So when I go in and look at my site content, I'm going to see lists, libraries, and other apps. And if I click on Add an App, it's going to take me in and show me all of the apps that I can add. And what you'll see is this is very similar to what you have inside of 2010, because you're able to go in and pick some of the different library types, and then you can create those new lists and libraries. So just a side note there that lists and libraries in 2013 are now considered apps. So when you're reading along and you see that you're being told to create an app, that's really what that means there. Okay. Managing permissions. So we can go in. It's a lot easier to manage permissions in this release. You'll see that this is on the home page. We have this little bar to kind of help us get started. This is a web part that we can close as soon as we're done with it. But it's up here and it's kind of going to get us started. And you'll see that when I want to share the site, I simply need to click on this. And it's going to open up and let me invite people. If I come down here and expand, I can put them into a SharePoint group that already exists. So if I've set up my groups and I've done different things like this, it's a lot easier for me to add people to the site and share it with them. You also notice that I can do item permissions because I can simply come down here and share, and I'm going to get that same box where I can share it, and then I can say, do they want to edit it or do they want to view it? So there's different permissions that I can set there. Now rest assured, I can still come over here into site settings, and I can go to site permissions, and I can get the same rich set of features that I could in 2010. So I can still manage them this way. But again, they're trying to make things a little bit more natural for us. So those are just some of the quick things that we can do from right on the site and right within the content to share it with other people. Okay. One of the other things that they want us to easily be able to do is to kind of design and put some design elements to our site. So a couple of things here. So I can go into here, and it's going to take me to a screen that you guys are probably familiar with under Site Actions, Title, Description, and Logo. And now I can add a logo. One of the great things is that I can now add it from another location. And it's going to upload it into SharePoint for me, put it on my site, and I can say, okay, so I don't have to worry about now uploading it to SharePoint and then going and adding it to the site. So I've got my logo there, and now I can come over here and possibly change my style. So they're going to give us a bunch of predetermined looks that we can pick. So for instance, I can pick any one of these looks, and if I click on it, then I'm going to be able to put a background image there, or I may be able to come over here and change the color scheme. So for instance, for me, we've got red in our logo. I might want to put some red pieces there. I can also scroll down and see this has got some more red, different things along those lines, and I can pick the one that looks great for us. So I could do it as black if I wanted. So I have all of these options for how I'd like to customize the site and customize the look and feel. And then I can say try it out. And once I do that, it's going to give me a preview of what my site is going to look like. And it's going to ask me, do I want to keep it, or no, I'm not quite there yet. So if I don't really like that one, I can say, no, I'm not quite there. I can even say start over, and maybe I want to pick from one of these other existing ones. So I may want to come over here and pick this guy. And then I might want to try it out and see how that looks. So I can make all of these changes here. And again, this is all the simple out-of-the-box things that you can do. So I'm going to say, yeah, go ahead and keep it. Randy Driscoll is going to get into some more information on his webinar that dives into more detail on this particular topic. So last thing, or one of the last things we really wanted to look at was just some of the different things you can do that are common tasks. Kind of talked about permissions. We just have to come here and click on Share, give people permission to the site. We can edit the links. So if I wanted to add additional links here to the top navigation, maybe I wanted people to be able to easily search, I can come over here and I can add whatever links I want. I can test it out to make sure that it's going to work okay. I can add that there. So then I save it, and now immediately it's there for people to access. Okay, once I'm back on the site, I can edit the links here. Let's say I don't want to show recent, I don't want to show documents, I can simply delete these. I can also come down here to link, and I can add those links dynamically right there. So there's a lot I can do simply from the site in one simple thing. So I can also come here, and I can edit one that already exists. So once I'm on it, I can simply click on that, and I can make any changes to it that I need to make. So they're trying to make things more natural and more easy for those who are using the site. I can always come down over here if I'm editing the page. Adding web parts is going to be very similar to what it was in 2010. So I come over here to the page. Once I'm editing the page, I can do things like formatting the text like I could do before. So I could come here and add content, get some of these different features available. I can also insert web parts, pictures, and videos, different things along those lines. Web parts, I can come over here and insert a web part, and you'll see it's very similar to the process inside of 2010. So these are some of the features. So this is really kind of just the 30,000-foot view of what a new team site looks like. So the presentation was only supposed to be 30 minutes, kind of a very high-level overview of some of the pieces that we have. So I think now we've got some people with questions, so we are going to kind of open it up at this point for questions. I will try to pull that. Okay. So I had a couple of questions in there. So the drag and drop, does it use WebDAV? That is a great question. We have some debate even going on our team of exactly what happens. Do you have to have the Office client installed to do that? So we're trying to work out the details right now. We do believe it's using the web client. So once you have Office 2013 installed, that's when you can use the drag and drop. But we're still trying to work out some of those details of the specific things that have to be in place in the environment for that one to work. So I don't know if they've published any official documentation on what that is. It seems to me right now that you have to have Office installed, but I wouldn't swear to that. But I think the answer to that question is yes. Can I drag and drop the left item menu to a new location? I don't really think, yeah, if I wanted to, I could drag it below. So if I wanted to move these guys around, no, I don't think it's going to, I'm not sure it's going to let me. Yeah, it's going to let me move them and drag them around. It's not totally easy. It's not like it's up and down, but I could move them, but like I couldn't move it from the side to the top or anything like that. But it does look like it can drag them around and reorder them over here. Could I repeat how I changed the logo? Definitely. Okay, so we can come over here and we see that we've got the Your Site, Your Brand button. So I can add a description, some description and logo to my site. So if I click on that, I'm going to leave the page, and it's going to take me to the title, description, and logo page. And then from there, I can just say from my computer, I can browse out, I can find whatever image I want to use. And then I can say OK, and it's going to upload it to the site for me and have that work as a link. So that's one way I can do it. I could also come down here. I come down here to Site Settings, and I can get to the page again through title, description, and logo. Okay, there we have that. This homepage right here, this Getting Started piece, this is just one of the web parts. And they kind of put it on default on some of the templates to kind of help you jump through and get to the different places that you're going to commonly be working on. So we can add those pieces there. Okay, so into the SharePoint store. So I'm not 100% sure. So the question is can we get some insight into the SharePoint store? And I'm not sure if I'm thinking the same store you're thinking, but are you thinking the marketplace? The SharePoint marketplace is going to be where third-party vendors or even yourself internally to the company where you can upload applications that people can then use on their SharePoint site. So it's kind of like a store where people can download apps. So kind of like you have a mobile device and you're going to go download apps that you can use in your environment. That's what the marketplace is like. And there's two different levels of the marketplace. There's the public marketplace where I can go purchase apps online. And then there's going to also be internal to my organization a marketplace that I can use. Okay, so the next question is obviously 2013 offers a great user experience in IE, but what about other web browsers? So that is a great question. As far as we can tell right now, we've done a lot of testing in IE and in Chrome. that things are working very similar to each other. So the mobile story does nothing but improve with each release. I am sure that there will be another document. There's going to be another document I'm sure that Microsoft puts out that lists the very specifics of what works and what works and what doesn't work. But as of right now, we really haven't run into too many issues using IE and Chrome and Mozilla and some of the other browsers. So from what we can tell at this point, things seem to be running pretty smoothly across all of them. Okay. I have two questions in here about Silverlight. I don't know if the bar is running on Silverlight or not. That's not something I necessarily know. That might be a question that Randy would be able to answer in his webcast. I'm not 100% sure if this bar, what technology is running that bar in the background, what code is doing that. So I think that would be a question that you could probably get answered in the designer webcast that Randy's doing. And then Alex asked the question is, can you easily add the Get Started web part? And the answer to that is yes. You just come over here. We can insert a web part. And I'd have to find out where it is exactly, but it's one of these guys, like the Get Started web part. I'd have to find it. I've seen it before. I don't remember exactly where it is right now, but yes, it's one of the, there we go. It's under Media and Content. Get started with your site web part. So there you go. Okay. So Rebecca has a question. I think we have time for about 2 or 3 more questions, so go ahead and we'll do a last call for questions and then I'll answer the ones that come in. But Rebecca asked, do I know if the MySite storage quota is increased? The current 500 megabyte limit is pretty small. So the quota is something that your administrator set, so that would be something that you would need to work with them to get them to up it. I know that that's something that you want to work with your administrators on, because you can definitely have quotas that are larger than that. It just needs to be configured on the server side. So that's where your administrators set your quotas. So you would need to talk to them or talk to your governance team to find out how to increase that. But technically, yes, SharePoint can support a larger quota than 500 megs. Permission edit links on the top navigation. That's going to be somebody who's got administrative rights to the site or the design rights so that they can design the site and change those settings. Those are going to be the permissions for that. Okay, I think that is all of the questions that we have in there right now. Oops, I see one more question. I see embedded code as an option. Is this? And then I don't see the rest of the question. You can do embedded code inside it, so you can do, yes, Alex, this says, is it like a source editor? And yes, you can still do that. And then there's also going to be some web parts that you can apply some JavaScript to the web parts. So the whole concept of JavaScript and jQuery and stuff like that, that all remains in this release of SharePoint. So you can be definitely working on a lot of those types of things as well. So yes, definitely, none of that goes away. It's probably easier to do it in this release. Okay, so I'm going to hop back over to the slides. I know this has been a super quick demo, again, of the 30,000-foot view, but now when you jump into the rest of the team's demonstrations, you kind of have a reference for the things that you've seen in this presentation. So just kind of want to close things up with the slide that basically says, you know, let's walk before you run, and looking at your content to kind of build that plan to get to what you're going to be doing with SharePoint and how you're going to be using SharePoint 2013. It's great to kind of spend a lot of time digging in and seeing all of these pieces and really spending some time learning so that you can then understand what's going to be best for your environment. And one way to do that is we've got a couple of links here of some of the content we've published about 2013 that you can access here. And then also we have some more 2013 webcasts out there. So we've got all of these different webcasts, and here's the registration, the blog that will take you to the link where you can register to each one of these free webcasts. And so I think that is all. I'm going to wrap up now. I don't know if I have another question. Can I show, Praveen, I can't show how someone who has read permissions is going to see the site, because on this particular site, I don't have that configured yet, so that would probably take a couple of minutes for me to go in and create a new account where I could configure that. Basically, it's going to look exactly the same, except for they're not going to share. They're not going to see the link that says share, and if they go to the gear with site actions, they're only going to see the thing that says view source content. Tariq, I don't have any comments about HTML5, but I think that in any of the designer sessions or even the developer sessions, you would be able to get that. Large documents and video files. So I have a question about how is support on large documents and video files, and that again gets better. They've got some additional changes to the web parts that allow that to render better, and there's some things that they do behind the scenes in loading pages that improve that. But again, it's all going to depend on different things like that. So, okay. Last question we'll ask is, would custom branded master pages apply uniformly across sites? You could deploy them as a solution file, and then when you update the solution file, it would update all of the branding. So yes, you could do that. And Randy is going to be doing a session for What's New in Branding 2013, and I am sure he is going to go into that topic in more detail. So I'll leave this link up for a couple minutes, and you guys can copy it and then try to find out how you can register for these different. You can register, I think, even up until the time they start, you can register them, register for them. So hopefully you guys will hang out with us, and if you like this, go ahead and send us some feedback, and we can continue to put together some of these additional webcasts for you guys. So thanks everybody for coming.